Charles Robinson of Yahoo Sport. Yeah. Okay, Charles Robinson, who is Yahoo Sport.
Yeah, the face of it.
Okay, we know that because he's been on the program numerous times. Friend of the program.
Yes.
Charles Robinson is now reporting, and he did this on Wad and Tosh.
Yeah, Wildy and Tosh.
Wildy and Tosh, which is a sports show.
Yeah, I don't know if it's Green Bay or if it's Milwaukee, but Tosh used to play tackle for the Packers, so it's a Packers radio show.
Charles Robinson, who's an insider for Yahoo Sports and is Yahoo Sports, said on that one that basically there was already a deal made. It was already done. A 2023 second, 2024 guaranteed first, and they are willing to give something back in 2025, and the Jets don't want it. Why? Because Aaron Rodgers said that he was potentially thinking about retiring, and that kind of scared Woody Johnson, and now they're trying to figure out what the future things are.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting thing that Charles Robinson breaks that news, because if Woody Johnson did not know that information after spending, an 11-hour trip in California
at his house,
whenever I believe there was great vibes were said by all people. So if Woody doesn't know that after that meeting, and then they still are in the middle of negotiating, that's interesting. That's an interesting little wrinkle, I think, in the entire conversation between Aaron and Woody, and Aaron in the meeting that he's had with the Jets, and what Aaron has said to the Jets, that Aaron would come on this show and say that he was 90% retired, 10% back whenever he went into the darkness. Then while in the darkness, we think, not 100% sure, while he was tripping balls like Queen's Gambit,
that's right,
he said, if I can find another motivation, I'm going to keep going. I think he was just looking for it. He was also thinking that he was going to maybe go back to the Packers. The Packers basically told him before he went into the darkness, take your time, however much time you need. Then when he got out of the darkness, yes, a hole in the ground in Oregon that had very nice facilities.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Great.
But absolutely no light. He said the tone had changed. They said, we're basically moving on to Jordan Love. We will figure out something to do with you. And boom, that was the chip on his shoulder, and he was back and running pretty much. That's kind of how I took the conversation. I don't know what that is. But if he was to come on the show and say that, and didn't tell Woody that, or in any of these conversations whenever they were either at his house in California when they took the jet, Woody Johnson, bazillionaire, owner of a few companies, one that, Aaron and he certainly have a little interest. Busy human, I think we could probably assume.
Safe to assume.
And if he's not busy, that means he's just completely retired and out of touch and doesn't do anything.
Right.
So to take the time to fly and go meet with Aaron, talk to Aaron, have a full day together, get to know each other.
Might have went in the hold and we know.
Could have been.
Could have put blackout curtains around the whole house.
Yep.
We don't, ayahuasca, maybe they sip some tea. Not saying Woody would do that.
Listen
but
to Pink Floyd.
We don't, who knows what they did. If he was learning that on our program and not from those conversations, I'd say that's an issue.
Yeah.
Right, Ty? I mean, I would say that would probably be a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, for sure. And that was, I mean, like everything else aside, that was kind of my biggest takeaway from reading this whole thing was like, holy shit, when he was on the show, like, everyone was like, why are we still talking about this guy? Like, everyone was locked in pins and needles about what he was going to say. And apparently, like, a lot of people legitimately had no idea what he was going to say. Like, to think that the owner of the Jets was learning this shit the same time that we were is fascinating and wild.
Certainly fascinating. If this is this is really what's going on right now. Now, Trey Wingo had the information about Woody Johnson flying to Aaron Rodgers before anybody else. So I assume he has pretty good connections over there. Greenberg, right, one of the loudest. He's in 2 Hall of Fames. I assume he has some good ones. So if they knew that as well, I wonder what their feelings are on either why they didn't release it or if they have a little bit of worries about maybe this deal getting done whenever everybody was just leaning to believe that it was certainly getting done. What are your thoughts on it, Pac-Man?
I don't know if I trust this resource.
Whoa!
Oh, Pac.
Oh!
Friend of the show.
Chuck Robinson.
He is friend of the program.
I understand, but the resource is not adding up. We got Greeny. Greeny is the man.
For the Jets. Fireman Ed, first of all. Hold on.
Yep.
Well,
Fireman Ed.
when they're good.
Yeah, he's been killed a couple times now, but fireman when they're good, Fireman Ed.
What about our other dude who got the Pokemon?
Gary V.
Gary V.
Yep.
Who got the Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, like, how all of a sudden he get this valuable information?
I don't know.
We know a lot of good guys.
Just listen.
I agree.
Listen. He did say V-Friends is his Pokemon.
He did.
I do like the fact that you remember that. Oh, this guy thinks he created the next Pokemon. Because his Pokemon, incredible business.
Yeah.
If V-Friends becomes the next Pokemon, he's
Gary
buying
will buy
the
the
Jets.
Jets.
Look
Yeah.
out.
He's going to buy the Jets. I love that, because as soon as he said that, that was my first thought too. Like, oh, okay, so that's how he's viewing V-Friends. That is a potential massive business for that fucking guy. You took it the same way, hysterical. You're right, though. Well, a lot of us are confused on how, but Robinson's been an insider for a long time. He works at Yahoo Sports. So that's like saying you worked at MySpace. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Yahoo's been around a long time. He's been in the game a long time over there at Yahoo.
Maybe Woody did find out when he was on here about the 90%, because if they flew out to Aaron's house and Aaron opened the door, it's like, guys, I appreciate you flying out here, but you would have thought he would have let off with like, hey, I'm 90% retired. So what were they doing there for the other 10 hours?
Well, that's what we're kind of saying. Charles Robinson of Yahoo Sports reported this morning that the holdup is that whenever Woody Johnson heard that Aaron was 90% retired going into the darkness, that he got a little bit worried about future picks or what guarantees are in the future. Now, Woody Johnson did travel out to California for an 11-hour trip with Aaron Rodgers. We asked, they did not do ayahuasca, allegedly.
Right.
We don't know what all happened. Do you think that this could be true, and is this something that we should necessarily talk about, AJ Hawk, a little bit?
I mean, we talk about everything that has to do with Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets right now, so I understand that part, but I doubt this had that much of an impact on Woody Johnson. I don't think it threw a wrench in the whole system, and he had to sit there and rethink the whole process once he heard this.
Okay, so AJ, just quickly, come on, what are we even?
What are we doing
All right,
here?
so that is an answer in of itself,
Right.
That we need to take in for what it is, because he knows the answer, obviously.
Clearly.
Just trying to not give it away, but not lie either.
Yeah, half truth.
Withholding information all the time.
What does that mean, though? That means Woody's worried he's only going to get him for one season? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I think Charles Robinson, which is I think we've all been kind of talking about that potentially being a worry.
concern, yeah.
So when Charles Robinson reports it, that's a source news. It's like, okay, so that is a real deal. But also, what he didn't know until he was on the program, that would be wild. That'd be a wild thing to think about as that relationship kind of begins. I don't know how that goes.
Well, and if it is true what he's reporting, then the idea that they had already agreed on compensation, and then when Woody heard, hey, I'm 90% retired.
So why wasn't he traded then by that Tuesday that he came on the program?
I don't know. Interesting. That's what doesn't really make sense, because then in this situation, like, I guess you can kind of see why the Packers would be like, nope, we already had a deal in place. Like,
completely.
Too bad. Like, that's what we're doing.
Joining us now is a man who might have more information because he's the senior insider for the NFL, both the NFL's league, the network,
Yep.
the website,
Good.
and the streaming service, NFL Plus. He'll be on the same screen as Bobby Flay. He's been a food judge on Tailgate Takedown. Shout out his son Jude for breaking that news. He's racing horses with Joey Molinaro. Ladies and gentlemen, the host of the weekly wrap-up with Rap Sheet and Friends, us being the friends, he being Rap Sheet, Ian Rappaport.
What's up?
Sorry you're waiting on hold there for 2 minutes. We had to ask AJ that question.
Okay.
Is that report coming out of Yahoo Sports this morning, Charles Robinson? What is happening with the Jets and the Packers? Why there's such a holdup? Is that what you've heard as well?
Can you do me a favor? Can you read me the wording of his? I was typing as I was waiting on you guys. Like, what did Robinson say?
And this kind of shocking. Robinson reports the parties had the parameters of a deal in place, but after Rodgers said he was 90% retired thing, Woody Johnson got scared to spend high draft capital on him. That would explain why the Packers don't want to take less. So that also might be future draft picks or this year's draft pick with 13 overall. Is that something that we already should have known? Is that something that Woody Johnson didn't know after an 11-hour meeting with Aaron Rodgers? Is he learning it at the same time as us? Because that is wild. What are your thoughts on it all? And that does throw certainly a whole new conversation into the whole deal, I think, personally.
Right. Okay, so I do not believe compensation has ever been agreed to or really close enough to where they say, like, a deal is done. Okay. Right? Because that part, with all due respect to Charles Robinson, who I really like.
We do too. Friend of the program. Friend of the program. Good guy.
I do not believe that part is accurate. I do believe the 90% retired thing has played a factor. Because if you're the Jets, let's talk about value, right? If you get Aaron Rodgers for 1 year, that's worth X. If you get Aaron Rodgers for 2 years, it's worth X times 2, right? So if Aaron Rodgers retires, theoretically, the price might be different in the eyes of the Jets than if he stays for 2 years or 3 years. So I think what they're looking for is a way to account for that. Like, we love Aaron Rodgers. He's worth so much. We're going to get him. If it's for 1 year, it's this. If it's for 2 years, it's this other price. And so I do think the the discussion of is it let's say, a hard first rounder or a hard second rounder in 2024, that's probably part of the discussion because, might it have to be conditional just to account for whatever this human being might decide to do?
Conditional seems like a way to get around any potential flaws on not knowing exactly what the future holds, especially for a quarterback that's as old as Aaron. And you could see how maybe somebody would ask Aaron and say, hey, do we know if you're going to play 2-3 years? How do you feel right now? He has not been in their building. He has no idea what day-to-day looks like over there. He has no clue. So I'll be excited to hear how they get to the bottom of that. And also, sounds like they're going to get the deal done.
Yep.
All right, hey.
For sure.
That's good negotiating,
I think eventually, I think they will, hopefully, maybe in a week and a half or something like that.
Okay. That sounds like a man who's saying around the draft or so.